Hi friends, how are you? I hope everyone's doing well. So it's now October, it's October 4th when I'm filming this, and I love October. It definitely feels like autumn is coming in hot and fast. I pulled all of our jumpers out of the storage the other day, so I have all of my winter jumpers out. I put all of my summer clothes away. I don't care if it gets slightly warm again. Sometimes it gets a little bit warmer towards early autumn in Scotland. We can just have this random heat wave, but all of my summer clothes are away. They're not coming back. I've decided I am in my full autumn girl era and nobody can stop me. I hope that you like the bookcase behind me. I did spend a little bit of time this morning sort of going over everything and putting it into a new order because I felt like it was just a little bit messy. I know that you can do a spring clean, but I did an October autumn clean, I guess. And I moved my lighting down to the bottom, so now we have a little bit of ambient lighting in the corner, which I think is great. So today I am going to discuss with you guys about all of the books that I read in September. So this will be my September wrap and my October to be read. I read 12, I believe. Yes, I read 12 books in September and I have at least 10 picked out for October, so I hope that you enjoy. So we're going to make a start on some of the physical books that I read in September. I had a really good reading month this month. I feel like I read a lot of books that I rated 4 or 5 stars, which was really great. I also started reading some series that have been on my shelves for a while and some that I have seen all over Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, YouTube. Everyone's been reading them and loving them, so I thought I would pick them up as well. So I've got a wild range of books this month, but let's have a wee chat about them. So one of the first books I read this month was Before Your Memory Fades. Now this has been on my shelf for a wee while and I actually have not read the first book, which is I think Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I picked this one up because I know that you can read them separately to each other and I'm so glad that I finally lifted it off my shelves. I wanted something really easy that I could maybe just read a story of in the evening because sort of each chapter in the book is a new story and I felt like that was just easy, especially after a long day at work. I could sort of read one sort of story or chapter a night and it definitely worked really well for that, so I heavily recommend not reading it all in one sitting, although you probably could, but reading it separately. This book is about a cafe that has a time traveling chair and the idea is that you can go back to the past and meet people who have also visited the cafe. So quite a lot of the stories are really sad. They are a little bit heart-wrenching and you definitely learn a lot about sort of humans in this and just the way that the mind works and how grief works. I don't usually read heavier books like this, but it was light enough to be cozy in the evenings but heavy enough to make you feel something. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. I really enjoyed it. I definitely think that I'll pick up the first book in the collection at some point and I gave this book a 3 stars. The next book I read was a 5-star read, and this will come to no surprise to anyone who knows the type of books that I read, and that was Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I am really lucky to have the indie published copy of this, or the pre-copy before it got purchased by mainstream publishing. So this is the copy that I purchased on Amazon, and this book is by Callie Hart, so it's beautiful. And it's almost the size of a hardback, but it's a paperback and I just think that it's absolutely stunning. I know this is getting mainstream published and there are a couple of copies on Waterstones, but I definitely think that I love the fact that I have the original copy. I was so glad I picked this up. I had someone sort of tell me once that the book was really slow paced, it was really boring, the pacing was all over the place. They said that it was just too long, too big, it could have been finished a lot shorter, and I disagree. I love this. Start to finish, couldn't put it down. Every chapter was perfect. The romance in this book and also the plot twist towards the end, if you know, you know, when some secrets come to light. People who we thought were one person were actually not. The big revelation, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It was amazing and I'm so sad that the next one is not coming out for a while, but I am so excited to read it when it does and I heavily recommend that anyone picks this up. If you love a good romantasy book, Oh, I will never stop talking about this. It's amazing. Thank you to Callie Hart for writing this book because I am obsessed and I will definitely be buying all of the other books that you release. The next book that I read is actually a little romance book. Now, this was from my Afterlight subscription, which is Illumicrate's romance subscription. Look how pretty this is. It's got daisies on the side. The inside looks lovely too. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. So this is about a girl that runs a tea shop on a little sort of beachfront, and she had a childhood best friend, and essentially they both get broken up with, her and her childhood best friend. He comes back from New York and they pretend to date, almost as like a, we're going to pretend to date because we're in the spotlight and people are following us on social media, and we're going to sort of be the revenge exes. And then, of course, we know what happens in a romance book. The romance actually blossoms for real, and it was just really cutesy. I also love that this is a hardback, but it's almost the size of a paperback. I think it's so cute, and it'll look really nice on my shelves as well, so heavily recommend that anyone who loves a little cutesy romance picks it up. Although, I would maybe say save this for the summer. It is a very summery book, and I feel like it did take me a little bit longer to get through because I wasn't totally in the summer vibes, so maybe this could be one to put on your list for the summer next year. The next book I read was a little disappointing, and that was The Night Hunt by Alexandra Christo. Now, I have read Into the Crooked Place by this author, and I didn't pick up the second one in that series because I didn't enjoy the first one. So I thought this was going to maybe be a little bit different, but unfortunately it just wasn't. I also have To Kill a Kingdom on my shelves, so I am hoping to eventually like one of her books, and I'm hoping to read A Kill a Kingdom soon, or To Kill a Kingdom. But this just wasn't great. I give this 2 stars. I don't actually remember anything that happened in this book. I thought it was really surface level. I didn't enjoy the characters, I didn't enjoy the way they interacted with each other, but it may just be not the right book for me, or maybe I just don't vibe with her writing, because I can tell why people like it, but I personally just didn't. However, I do have some 5-star reads for this month, and the first 5-star read that I have is none other than Carissa Broadbent. You guys will know from one of my other videos that I love Serpent in the Wings of Night. I have both of the copies. They're actually here on my shelf. I have pre-ordered the next sort of one in the next duet. So this is actually a novella in the Crowns of, I think it's Nexia. I want to say Nexia, but I don't actually know if that's how it's pronounced. But either way, it's a novella set in that world. I read through this in about a couple of hours. I went straight through this book. I loved it. It was amazing. It is about a human and a vampire. All her town is dying. They have this mysterious disease because they have been frowned upon by a god, and he is killing them slowly, is the easiest way to put it. She thinks that she's sort of like an alchemist kind of gal, so a little bit of a scientist vibe. I love her. She's also really sarcastic, and I love that. So she goes and speaks to this vampire that nobody wants to speak to because she thinks that his blood is potentially the cure. So she offers him a deal where she gives him a rose for every vial of blood that she gets, like once a month. So she gives him 6 roses, it spans across 6 months, and it's so cute. It's actually quite hard hitting in some places. I did nearly shed a wee tear at one point. It was really great. I love it. And also, it's a romantasy, so I love a romantasy, and Carissa Broadbent does romantasy really well. Heavily recommend. Love this one. The next book is also a 5-star read. This was on my to be read for September, and I did manage to read it, and that is The Spell Shop. Now, I have just realised that Sarah is bringing out a second book in this series. She announced it on Instagram the other day, and I cannot wait. I've already plans to buy it on pre-order. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. I love this. Cozy fantasy books are just so good, and they're perfect for autumn as well. I love the likes of Legends and Lattes, and I know that there's another series. I've got it on the floor. Rebecca Thorne's books. Rebecca Thorne has just released a what is it called? A Pirate's Life for Tea, but the first book in that series was also amazing. I love a cozy fantasy, and this did not disappoint. Someone did say to me that it was like Stardew Valley in a book, and I 100% agree with that. You get to see her sort of move to a new place and start building her life there, which includes like farming and growing things and meeting the villagers like you do in Stardew Valley. It's amazing. It's so good. So I give this book 5 stars, and I really cannot recommend it enough, and I will be reading the next one, and I am so excited. Next, I have some kids books. There's 4 books in this series. I don't know how many there's actually going to be, but I know that there's 4 at the moment. The 4th one is releasing on the 10th of October, and I have it on pre-order. And those books are Sandman and the Unicorn Thief. This gives a very Percy Jackson vibes. Now, for being a kids book, it's quite a heifer. It's quite a hefty... What is on my hand? It's quite a hefty book, I won't lie. I mean, the text is big to an extent. Hope nobody got any spoilers there. So the text is pretty big, but it is a hardback copy, and I picked this up, I want to say in 2021, whenever I first moved here, and I never read it, and I thought, I need something really easy. In between the most amazing fantasy or fantasy romance that I've been reading this month, I need something easy that's gonna cleanse my palate. Little did I know I'd be obsessed and finish the first 2 books in 2 days. So I finished the first one I've started it one evening and then sort of finished it the next morning. And then I also ordered the 2nd and 3rd one from Amazon and finished the 2nd one the day after. So I love them. I love them so much. I actually loved Percy Jackson as a kid, but when I reread it as an adult, I didn't enjoy it. This, however, love it. So good. What a good series. And I will be recommending this to all my younger cousins as well, because I think that it would be definitely one that they would all like. There's no romance in it whatsoever, and I just love that. It's just such a wholesome, friends going on an adventure story, and the storyline is actually really good, and there are really good plot twists in it as well, so I would heavily recommend these. So next we have a couple of books that I read on my Kindle. So we had Funny Story by Emily Henry. I do have the physical copy of this book as well, and I love Emily Henry as a romance author. I have a lot of her books already, and I just think that she's great, and she's very good at what she does. She knows exactly what genre she's in. She knows how to get what she wants across on a page, and also makes you feel that giddy, kicking your feet and screaming feeling as well. I've had Funny Story the whole summer. I meant to read it during the summer, but I got swept away by Carissa Broadbent's books when I was supposed to be reading Emily Henry's new book. Oh, I'm so annoyed that I waited this long to read it, because it was a 5-star book for me. I definitely think it actually might be my favourite Emily Henry book so far. I think that she has just knocked it out of the park with this one. It is about 2 people who break up with their significant others and end up living together just out of convenience, and there's a little romance between them, and it follows sort of their story and how it all comes together. And this man, he's the blueprint. I love him. The next book that I read, or the next 2 books that I read, are the 3rd and 4th books in the Gold Rush Rants series by Elsie Silver. Elsie Silver is an auto-buy romance author for me. I think other than Emily Henry, she is the auto-buy romance author for me. And I wanted to read the sort of prequel series to Chestnut Springs. And I have seen some sort of ups and downs about it. Some people were like, it's not as good as Chestnut Springs. But where have you been living? Where have you been? What were you reading? Because it was not Gold Rush Ranch. This series actually has almost topped Chestnut Springs for me. The 3rd and 4th book, so good, like unbelievably good. I'll not explain the plot, but you do meet sort of the characters in the books that are upcoming in the previous books, and I just knew who it was going to be for in the last 2 books, and I'm so glad I read them because they're so good. I would really love to get the physical copies of the books, but I am on a minor book buying ban right now because I have bought a fair few books recently, and I was gifted some money for my birthday and bought some books, and I really don't have any more space on my shelf at the moment, but I would like to look at getting the physical copies because I would love to just have her whole collection on my shelves. They would look beautiful, and I have the rest of them, so I may as well get the 4 of those. So the 12th and final book that I read this month was a 5-star read, and it was Metal Slinger by Rachel Snyder. Now, oh my god, I am so glad I read this. I got the recommendation from someone else I watched on YouTube, Emmy. I'll link her channel down below, she's amazing. But I got this recommendation from one of her videos, and I could see how much fun she was having reading this book and talking about this book, and oh my god, I'm so excited that I read it. I'm so happy that I read it. It's so good. It is a 5-star read. I definitely will be picking up the next ones whenever they come out, whenever the next one drops. I'm gonna turn into some sort of feral animal. My social life will go out the window till I've read that book, essentially. I might even have to book the day off work to read that book. But I will 100% recommend. I'm not gonna go into the plot. It's so good to go in blind to, but if you want an amazingly good fantasy book or romantasy, read Metal Slinger. So good. Not gonna say anything else. Moving swiftly forward. So those were all the books that I read in September. So I want to talk about the books that I want to read in October, and I actually have on my pile 10. So I have 10 physical copies, but we always know that I won't get through all of these, and some of them are part of a series. Some of them I may sort of branch off and read other books. Some of them have, like the Skander books that I have been reading, have the sequel or the final 4th book. I don't know if it's the final book, but it is the 4th book coming out next week, so that'll be probably push something else off the list. Here are the books that I really want to read. First one, Assistant to the Villain. This seems quite cute. As far as I know, it's about someone who becomes an assistant to a villain, obviously, which is something that I've never really considered. I've never really considered, like, not being on the bad side, but to me it kind of gives Despicable Me vibes. I'm so sorry, but it does look really good. It is a romance book. It says on the front, one job, don't fall for the boss. So we all know what's going to happen. We all know exactly how this romance is going to play out. I do believe there are other ones in the series. I think there's a second one, but I thought it would be really cute because it is sort of getting into spooky season. October is Halloweeny, spooky, cozy time, and Assistant to the Villain I feel would fit that vibe. Similar to Assistant to the Villain in fitting in with the spooky vibes, I have An Education in Malice. Now it does have the sticker on it because I bought it in a 3 for 2 in Edinburgh. However, An Education in Malice has been on my list for a while. St. Gibson she's been on my radar, but I haven't read anything from her just yet. I feel like her books are very high rated, and An Education in Malice is the one that I saw everywhere when it first released, so I thought I would pick it up. And it seems to be about a school and an academic rivalry, which we love. It says, tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors and dark magic. What could be more Halloween and autumny than that? So I do have a little romance book on the list, and that is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe was so cute when it released, and I have been saving this one. I got it for my birthday at the start of September, but I have been saving it specifically for October because it does seem very Halloweeny, or at least cozy autumn vibes. It also has lovely foil on the cover, and it's just a really beautiful book. I actually don't have my copy of The Pumpkin Spice Cafe anymore. I feel like I probably won't keep this copy. I'll probably pass it along afterwards because I definitely think that Laurie Gilmore's books, almost like Gilmore Girls, should be loved by everyone, so I'll probably pass this once I read it. I'm very excited to read something cutesy and wholesome, especially after reading 2 books that are more on the spooky side. Something cutesy but still with autumnal vibes will be great. So I have 3 paperbacks left on my list for October, and the first one is Belladonna. This was also on my list for September, but I never got around to it, and I do think that Molly and I are going to do a buddy read. So I'm gonna hold off until she's ready to start, but I am so excited for Belladonna, and I'm so excited to get to it. It's been on my list for a little while, and I just feel like October is going to be the month. October will be the month that I read this. When you come back for my wrap up at the end of October, this one will have been read, and maybe the second one. Then we also have Gothicana. This is a secondhand book that my friend Olivia sent over to me. Again, I believe it's about a university, so another sort of spooky school book, and it looks really cutesy. It does look eerie, definitely, and I love the cover. How beautiful is this? Stunning. Love a bit of purple. But it does look really sort of spooky and eerie and sort of soft Halloween vibes. So I definitely think that that'll be on my list closer to the end of October when I'm getting more into the spooky season or the spooky portion of the month. However, I'm really excited to pick it up because I saved it for this month. And the last paperback then is by Lana Harper, and that's Payback's a Witch. I do have the second book in this series as well, but this one looks really magic. As far as I know, it's about a witch who takes revenge, I think. Okay, so I figured out what this book is about. It is about witches, and it is a romantasy, I believe. Okay, so they plot revenge and then fall in love, as I'm pretty sure exactly what happens. So this looks really good. I'm really excited to read it. It'll probably, again, I'll read this closer to Halloween. I'll read it closer to the end of the month. I'll probably read my cozier books at the start and keep my spookier, witchy books towards the end. So hopefully I'll enjoy that one. Ugh. We've got some hardbacks on the list for this month. One you can see I'm already reading, so I'll leave that one to last. But the first hardback on the list that I have is Where the Dark Stands Still. I'm so excited to read this. It looks really good. It's about a forest of tangled secrets, a wild girl and a broken boy fall in love. This is also a beautiful cover. It's stunning. I picked this up in Edinburgh. I think I picked this up in Hopping and Company. Probably, I want to say it wasn't recent. I want to say it was May or June time when I picked this up. And it sat there, and I've kept it specifically for October because it is giving very October vibes. Maybe early November at a push, but I'm really excited to finally pick this one up. The next one is about a murder, and it is the new Richard Osman book. I was really hoping I was going to get to this in September, but I just got swept aside by a lot of romantasy books in September, but I'm very, very excited to finally have this on my list. So I'm very excited for this one. He also writes the Thursday Murder Club books, which I love. They're one of my favourite series of books of all time. I'm not too sure what this one is about. I think it is about a daughter-in-law and a father-in-law who solve a murder. So that's really exciting. I'm really excited to pick this up. It'll probably be the next book that I pick up once I finish the one that I'm currently reading, because I'm really excited to get to it, and I think that it'll make me very happy this month. So then we also have a new release, and this is A Pirate's Life for Tea, which is a cozy fantasy packed with plunder, and that's by Rebecca Thorne. I love Rebecca Thorne's books. I love her books so much. I read the other one. I can't remember the name of it. It'll say in the start. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. That is what it's called. It is on my shelf somewhere, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm not entirely too sure where it went. But A Pirate's Life for Tea is the second book in the series. Look how lovely this cover is. I think it's beautiful. I got it on release day on the 3rd of October, and I've immediately put it into my reading list for October. It will probably be read. I'm thinking once I read the one that I'm reading, then the Richard Osman book, then I'll probably read this one, because I think it's perfect timing for this. It's cozy enough for the very start of October, but not spooky enough that it needs to be towards the end, and I'm very excited to read this one, so I'll let you guys know my thoughts on that one. And the last book that I hope to read in October, I've actually already started, and I spoke about the books earlier, but it is the third book in the Skander and the Unicorn series. So this is Skander and the Chaos Trials. So he's in his third year of unicorn writing school, and I've started to read it already. I got a little bit through it last night, and it's a beautiful yellow colour. I can't actually wait to finish this series and put them all on my shelves. I think they're going to be so beautiful. And I have this feeling that there's going to be a fifth one, because there's 5 elements in the book, and so far we've got 4, and the colours of the books have been for the first 4 elements, so I feel like there definitely is going to be a 5th. I'm hoping that there's going to be a 5th, but I'm excited to read this one and the 4th one when it comes out next week, and such a good palette cleanser. I definitely think that if you are wanting a really easy book to read between heavy fantasy or even romantasy books, this is a really good series. It's childlike enough, it's almost like Percy Jackson or maybe the earlier Harry Potter books, but it's interesting enough and has enough plot twists to keep you kind of gripped, and they're really fast reads as well. I've been able to read the first 2 within the space of a couple of days, so definitely recommend this one. So that is everything on my list for October and everything that I read in September. So I really hope that you enjoy. Please let me know any books that you're planning to read down in the comments, or just leave a book emoji if you're unsure of what to say in the comments. I would hopefully like to do an October reading vlog. I feel like that could be really fun, and it's something that I'm really interested in, especially after putting my Edinburgh vlog out. But I'm really interested in doing some reading vlogs, so if you think that would be a good thing and I'll maybe take you through what I'm reading at the time and all my thoughts, then let me know what you think and if you think that would be a good idea. But I'll let everyone get off, so I'm sure that you're gonna have a really lovely weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!